Welcome to the Better Off Bonus Call of the Week. We're sponsored by Betterment, the largest independent online financial advisor. Well, you know, I love this. I love that we get to do an extra episode every single week. And I love that it's all about you and your financial issues that matter the most. So if you've got a question that's on your mind, or you want to just talk through a question that's been burning for a while, or maybe you've got some marital spat over a money issue, we might be able to help you out. The way you can contact us is to email askjill@betteroffpodcast.com, askjill@betteroffpodcast.com. And if you don't get on for the bonus call, you might get the listener question of the week. We drop that at the end of our interview show on Thursdays. So right now, let's go and chat with somebody. It's Melanie on the line from New Jersey. Welcome to Better Off, Melanie. How can I help you out?
Hey, good morning, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
So my husband and I bought a house about 3 years ago down here at the Jersey Shore, primary residence, and we got in when the rates were really low. I think our current rate on our mortgage is like 3.625. But fabulously, the value of our home has increased something like 12 or 15% in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And when we first took out the mortgage, we only put down, I think, 13%. So we've been paying PMI. The value has increased enough now that, you know, if we had refinanced, then we would be totally out of the PMI. We'd have like 25% of the equity in the home. But rates are really high now, so we don't really know.
Oh, whoa. Wait a minute. Really high. Hold on. Higher? Don't let's say, let's say higher. Let's say that you had to, you've obviously already looked into this, so let's do the comparison. 3.625 is your rate on your 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. And what would be the new rate if you were to refinance this minute?
So the lowest rate that the current mortgage lender could give us is something around 4.75.
Okay. So about a point higher.
Yeah.
Okay. But you wouldn't have to pay PMI.
Right.
So how much would your payment increase if you were to refi right now?
So they told us they weren't able to get us like a confirmed answer yet. They're still running numbers, but they thought it would break out right around even. So we wouldn't really be saving anything.
So you'd lose the amount that you were paying for PMI, but the cost of the loan would rise, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. But that's not so bad. That's actually that's better than I thought you were going to say. So that seems fine. So let's back up. So that's the house itself. Tell me more about what's going on in your lives. So you have a partner, you married, what's happening?
Yeah, so I've got a husband, we've got an 18-month-old daughter, and, you know, the other thing that we're looking into doing with the house in the next year or so is renovating the kitchen. The homes in our area, you know, like the comps in the area, they're all, you know, quite a bit higher than ours, which is great. A lot of the stuff in our home is builder grade, so we plan to stay here probably for another 10 years, but, you know, we'd like it to be a little nicer. So that's one thing that we're looking into, which kind of throws another variable into this whole refi, should we not thing. But other than that, you know, I think we're doing pretty well. Our savings are pretty solid.
How much do you have in savings?
So I'm maxing out my 401k through work. I've got about $65,000 in there right now. My husband's got about $70,000 in his. His new employer has a simple IRA, so he's moving everything over right now. That we're sort of in transition there. We've got a brokerage account with about $60,000 in.
Wait, how much? 50 or did you say 50?
60.
60 brokerage account, so taxable account.
Yep. And then we've got our rainy day fund, which is just sort of cash in a savings account that's about $25K.
Okay. And any debt that's outstanding besides that mortgage?
Yeah, we both have quite a bit of student loan debt. My husband has about $75K left in student loan debt. A couple of loans there, some are fixed, some are variable, but the highest variable is about 4.98%. So we're paying those down, and I'm halfway through a graduate degree myself. So I've currently got about $14,000 in debt, but that's not going to be much higher. I think by the time I'm out, we'll have a total of maybe 20, and that's at a fixed rate as well, but that's a little higher. That's about 5.5%.
Okay. Here's my question to you. What's going on with that? Why is that brokerage account there?
when I was like 16 or 17 and I had my first job, my parents just told me you should set this up and you should put something in it. And ever since then, I've always kind of set it up so that I had just sort of an automatic withdrawal out of my checking account, so I didn't know about it, and it just goes there and it sits there and I don't do too much with it.
Okay. So let me ask a couple of questions. So I presume because, I don't know, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay. So the money that's in there in that brokerage account presumably has some low cost basis, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. And that being the case, I presume when I give you the following piece of advice, you're going to be very mad at me, which is why don't you sell whatever's in the brokerage account and start paying down some of that debt so that you can basically say, hey, I made a bunch of money. I'll pay the capital gains rate and be done with it and pay off my debt, my 5.5% debt, which ain't cheap, or 6%, and get a little bit of this reduced, or at the very least, maybe take some of it to fix up your kitchen. What do you think of that idea?
I'm totally open to it. I really, like the brokerage account is really just there because, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is for a kitchen in the future, or this is for, you know what I mean? Like this, that's sort of like those mid-term goal accounts. And
Yeah.
I guess I just never thought about selling it.
How much do you need to do a kitchen?
We're getting quotes right now, but I'm kind of expecting somewhere in like the $30,000 to $45,000 range.
Okay. So, I mean, look, you've got three basic choices. I was going to say two alternatives, but now I see there's three. One is, let me just sell out the money that's in this brokerage account. Let me use that to pay for my kitchen and maybe just pay off that 5.5% graduate debt. And then the husband's debt, you can kind of keep whittling it away and be done with it, right? That would be one choice. The other choice is to assume a higher total mortgage amount at 4.75% and use that to pay for the kitchen. Nah, I don't know if I love that. And or maybe even consider a home equity line of credit. But the problem with that is that even though that's still deductible, because under the new law, as long as you buy, build, or improve a property, the interest is still deductible. If you have a home equity line of credit, then it's probably subject to a little bit more risk on the interest rate side because it would be tied to short-term interest rates, and those are rising. And the third would be to borrow money from your 401k. I like the brokerage account one. I mean, in a weird way, I'll tell you why. In a weird way, the brokerage account seems like, wow, that's a very drastic decision, but it's actually the safest decision. This way, what you can do is you can go ahead and refinance your house, right? And get that done before, honestly, like rates are probably generally trending higher. Lock it in. You're done. And it's no difference to you. As you said, it's probably a break even, but it's fine, right? Get rid of your PMI. Boom, done. That gets finished. And then the brokerage account you can use and you can use that to do the kitchen. And maybe I wouldn't even pay down the debt just yet. I might just sell the stuff out, make sure you understand what your tax liability is going to be for next year, right? Keep some of that extra money aside to pay the taxes due. Whatever's left over can pay for the kitchen because if they say 30, it really means 45. As you said, it could be 50. And then you've got the money and it's done. And you've paid for it out of your cash flow, essentially, because you've been saving this much money, which is great. And essentially, that's exactly what a non-retirement brokerage account is for, is to fund, as you said, short to intermediate term goals. So I don't see why you wouldn't do that.
That's awesome. I mean, it sounds good to me. I think the only concern that I know my husband will have as we've spoken about this is he sort of looks at like the refi piece of this as, well, if I'm not getting a shorter interest rate and my monthly payment isn't going down, what's the benefit of refinancing right now?
Well,
I can say, hey, you get rid of your PMI, but I don't think that's tangible enough for him.
Okay, well then just say we're saving $250 a month and move on.
Okay.
Because the faster you do that, the better it's going to be. Right. And then you can't get rid of the PMI unless you refinance at any time. Right. So here's the critical issue that you explained to him. Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds like PMI is nothing, honey, but if we pay $250 a month for the next 25 years, that adds up. If we keep waiting and interest rates keep rising, we're never going to want to lock it in. So now we're basically it's $250 a month. Right now it'll be break even for our payments, but the $250 will just keep happening.
Right.
I mean, look, you can go shop around. You're only talking to the mortgage company that holds the loan right now?
Right now, yeah.
Why don't you talk to someone else also, just for the heck of it?
Okay.
I mean, just to see, because it may be that you could be, if you save instead of having it be a break even, or maybe if rates dip a little bit, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not that big a deal because if you have the cost of refinancing, we have to add that all in. Let's make sure we have apples to apples. So you have to make sure that all the closing costs are rolled into the new loan. And we have to find out for sure whether it's really a push. Is it a push for 30 years? Is it a push for right now? Is it that your payments? And by the way, PMI is not deductible.
Right.
So maybe it makes sense just for what's the size of the mortgage?
We owe about $345K on it. The original loan was something like $360.
So you've got no problem with deducting that. So maybe it's that, look, we might as well we take this one thing that is not deductible, we convert it into being deductible. And so maybe it's a small push, in favor of a refi, but maybe just also get a couple of other quotes. There's a zillion people who want to refinance your mortgage. Trust me.
Yeah, we can get in the call.
Yeah, exactly. So I would go check it out and see what you can get. But generally speaking, I think that the brokerage account is going to be your best option. You've done the work. You worked hard to kind of accumulate that. And now, by the way, once that account is kind of done with, what I would also do is the money that you were putting into it automatically, are you still doing that?
Yes.
I would build up your rainy day fund a little bit. And the reason why is that, like you're an old house, you got a kid, maybe you're going to have another kid. It would be more important for me to just have a little, I don't know, how much do you guys make together?
To pre-tax, we're at like $250.
Yeah. You probably got some good expenses there. So I might beef up my rainy day fund and then just make sure you're both maxing out your 401k. And then if you've got available money, instead of building money into the brokerage account, I would make extra payments on his student loans.
Yeah, that's
because
I've been listening to the podcast, and that seems to be your general advice. So
and I think it also is a good. It's actually a good lesson of like how you can feel free. I think that's the other piece of it, that you'll feel better having unloaded some of that debt. So
yeah.
All right, Melanie from the Jersey Shore, go listen to your Bruce Springsteen. And we once had a guest on who was from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know Bruce Springsteen. That's how young she was.
How is that possible?
Exactly. Well, we played a song for her, and then she didn't know. What did we play, Mark? Thunder Road? Oh, we played Glory Days, and she didn't know who was singing.
Oh, that's even worse.
The worst thing ever. So anyway, go enjoy your Bruce, and thank you so much for calling, and give us a holler if you need some more help.
Thank you, Jill. Really appreciate it.
All right, take care. Okay, that's a wrap of our Better Off bonus question of the week. If you've got a question, it's simple. Send us an email at askjill@betteroffpodcast.com. We'll arrange to get you on. And don't forget, in just a couple of days, there's a brand new episode of the Better Off Podcast, sponsored by Betterment. Talk to you then.